Good evening. I'm here today to speak on the matter surrounding elections and overall voter recognition in our community. And one word I like to use to sum it all up: accountability. Let me begin by making some things clear. What I'm about to say is not a representation of where my other friends in ASB or anyone else might stand. I know that the last time I spoke on the topic, some people took things in a far more personal direction than ever intended. We have a saying to never simply attack someone, but to call out a situation for what it is. And you'll hear me say it 1,000 times. I don't intend on calling anyone out, but I do intend on calling out what I explicitly don't believe in. Look, I can't speak for what my other colleagues may or may not believe in, but I can speak for what I and what I'm sure many of you do. As I've said before, just over 2 years ago, our campus implemented the current top 4 election system, meant to make running easier for candidates by creating a general pool of people to be elected from. But let's look at some of the resulting effects. In the time since then, more people on both ends, both students and adults alike, have become more confused about such a system, placing greater focus on some of the finer details being decided behind the scenes. But most importantly, these changes were coming at the cost of the voters' choice and the value of it. The very people that would in fact see the impact of these elections would see their vote holding less weight than before. Following elections wouldn't be fully decided by the people's vote, by a full count of the democratic process, but rather behind the scenes by, quote, who deserves it the most, end quote. Look, and I'll keep saying this, I'm not out here to call anyone out, but I do believe that we need to take responsibility for our current situation as it is. Elections are how every student has a say in choosing their leaders for the following school year. It's one of the most core and fundamental methods that they have to impact their future year on campus. And for those of you out there who might still be confused or caught up with how the last election turned out, it's time to move forward and to look ahead. To focus on making things better for the future. Make no mistake, while I strongly disagree with many of the practices surrounding this past election, the reality is that no matter the flaws, it was the established process of the time. In the days and weeks leading up to that time, that process was in fact reaffirmed in a discussion and what would be an essential vote in which 4 of the 5 executive members of the time supported maintaining how things were, opting to maintain the status quo. A status quo which allowed this election to be over before it had fully begun. Decisions and discussion were already being made behind the scenes before a single vote had been cast. Let me be clear. The constitutional process of this campus gives this new executive team the ability to vote on and to pass an amendment to change and fix the system the same way it was changed before. Over the past few weeks, discussion has already begun on this very topic, and with it, I've proposed a system built from the ground up that focuses on the key and core democratic values that provide the voter with the full potential voice of their vote, and returning much of, if not all, the power that was stripped away from them when the system was changed previously. On my website is the full proposed document that has all the detailed info on what this new process would look like. And look, I've heard some of the counter arguments on why things shouldn't be changed. And let me be clear once again that I'm not calling anyone out here, but to address one of the leading arguments that our voters simply don't know enough about our candidates to be given the full power of their vote, let me ask this. Is the solution to a lack of knowledge to have a reduction in our voters' ability and right to fully declare their vote and support for a candidate? Or is it to give them the proper tools and resources to make that choice? Well, I can tell you what I believe. I believe that it's a fundamental right to have a full say within an election. There's not a single time in history, as far as I'm concerned, where a group or institution has moved further away from giving the people their full value of their vote, moved further away from a fully democratic process, and has not seen some level of a resulting negative impact. And let me reiterate that we're one of, if not the only campus in the region that doesn't utilize a fully democratic process in some form. We have the power to change that for the better. That's why it's important for every person out there who does believe in it to voice their support and desire for such change, and to hold their leaders accountable to it. I recently sent out in response to a post made by a group of students within our district that one of the greatest desires of many students and staff within our own community is a greater level of accountability at all levels of leadership. I've personally spoken to both teachers and students who've spoken to this topic. So it's important that you, in fact, do your part as well in holding all of us accountable. Accountable to the promises that we make, as well as accountable to simply upholding your interests. It goes back to the thing that I said a long time ago about how the best way we will in fact move things forward is in fact if we do it together and if we do it united. My point is this. Let's stop providing the illusion of an election and move back towards a process that fully values the voters' will. This will be the most elaborate effort yet towards reevaluating the current status quo. And so I look forward to being able to continue to discuss and work towards restoring the full extent of our voters' voices alongside this new executive team. I intend to have more to cover on this as we move forward and make progress on this situation. And let me close with this. I genuinely don't say any of this to simply put blame onto one individual or another. And I simply won't accept that as any form of an interpretation of what I've gone over today. But I don't believe that anyone who's elected within the community of those whom they serve shouldn't take it upon themselves to be deadly earnest about what they believe in, to call out situations that they don't believe put the best interests of the people whom they serve first. Look, we have a lot to tackle ahead of us, and I hope to be able to cover as much as possible with the time that I have left, alongside the newly elected team of people that are meant to be dedicated to the betterment of our campus and community. I really think we do have a good chance, a good shot at making things better this year. But I also won't be overly optimistic nor pessimistic. I intend to continue to move forward while continuing to serve for what I truly believe is in the best interest for our entire student body, as I believe is the mission and purpose of every ASB member, as is the purpose of ASB itself. Because if not the students of our schools, of our campuses, who do we serve? Whose mandate do we represent? And I intend to do my best to keep everyone as up to date as possible as we continue to make progress. So let's make that the benchmark that we strive to reach and surpass as we head into this year.